Peace to you guys, man. Uh, I'm very thankful, man. I'm thankful to God for various things. Um, every day is a challenge, but every day offers the opportunity to get to grow closer to God. And thankful spirit is interesting. I was just listening to my boy, Coach Shelton Harris, and he's a bit discouraged. Of course, it's a slow month in boxing, no real mega fights. So, sometimes people get discouraged and they start to talk. So I feel him, but I don't feel discouraged because, man, we're going through the fire right now. Um, and so as you go through the fire, you get more appreciative of a lot of things in life, a lot of things. So I'm very appreciative of the fact that I get to watch some boxing. Like today, I got to watch boxing most of the day. So I'm very appreciative of that. There's a lot of things we take for granted. I think a lot of times we ignore a lot of good things happening around us when we look around us, and we seem to be attracted to the negative. And in the world today, there's a lot of negative out there, so I can understand why people would be pretty negative. I try to focus on the positive as much as I can. I missed a lot of fights as well, so that's another thing. Um, I just watched Delorme versus Jesse Vargas. That was a fight on the Zone. Of course, I think Jesse Vargas is an Al Heyman fighter. I think Al Heyman's his promoter, even when he was at Top Rank and so on. I was listening to also Beeb beating the odds with Beeb, and he was talking about how the Al Heyman fighters and Al Heyman and his PBC don't work much with a lot of people. And that's weird. And hearing Al Heyman, Bob Arum works with a lot of people, but Al Heyman doesn't. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He works with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom. He works with Lou DiBella. He's worked with Golden Boy on some projects. He's worked with Top Rank on certain fights. He's been working with a lot of promoters, including the promotional companies of some of the fighters. Got a lot of fighters. And I was listening to people, constantly digging into Al Heyman, or trying to rationalize Al Heyman as a manager. But it's just strange. It's really strange when I hear people, you know, kind of be negative. Even the negativity towards Clarissa Shields. Yeah, I gotta admit, Clarissa Shields is not the most skilled boxer I've seen. Um, she bangs a lot, uses her size, and she's a little bit, she's a little bit raw when she talks and stuff. But I mean, there's no need to hate on her. I mean, she's doing what she's doing. She's having some success. Good for her. You know what I mean? I just wish she would be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more boxing savvy. For me, boxing's not just banging. Boxing is, about, showing some boxing savvy. She has some boxing savvy she shows in fights, but I just find sometimes she lacks it. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I was looking at Coach Shelton Harris and his live feed, which is going on right now. You guys could go check him out. Shout out to Coach Shelton Harris. He's talking about the business of boxing right as we speak. Beating the odds with B just had one, and they were talking about some of the current fights. But I'm just going to talk about being thankful for a minute. I'm thankful that we have all these fights. I'm thankful that we're having all these uh, plethora of fights coming up. And that's kind of bringing back television. These are free fights. And what's beautiful about it, especially on Fox and where else, there's some of the PBC lineup I want to talk to you guys about, but some of the fights on Fox and other places, it's awesome to get more people to see these fighters like Keith Thurman. It's going to be exciting. Keith Thurman versus Josesito Lopez, it's going to be an exciting fight. And it's Keith Thurman's comeback fight. And a lot of people assume Keith Thurman will win this fight. But if you know anything about Josesito Lopez's past, he has been able to produce the upset on occasion. Josesito Lopez is an interesting guy. Let me show you guys a little something. Josesito Lopez was the guy that upsetted Victor Ortiz and broke his jaw, for those of you who don't know. So he was able to produce a huge upset over Victor Ortiz. This was after he came out of a split decision loss to Jesse Vargas, which was a close fight. All right. And then he beat Victor Ortiz, lost to Saul Canelo Alvarez, and lost to Marcos Maidana. Both guys wrecked him. Came back and was able to stop Mike Anortis. Lost to Andre Berto recently. You know, he's been getting beat up recently, of course. So Keith Thurman getting a soft touch kind of to get himself into the groove, people think. But then who's to say that Josecito Lopez will be a soft touch? You just never know, right? The people who are training him, the people who are training Mikey Garcia, Robert Garcia, and his father. So, you know, you have to put everything in context, you know. And, you know, Josecito love to be a spoiler, especially if Keith Thurman hurts his arm or hurts his hand or something. And you heard Keith Thurman had some hand injuries, he had some elbow injuries, he had some arm injuries. So that arm is giving some trouble. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So, you know, people criticize certain things, but I'm just saying, sometimes I just want to be thankful that Keith Thurman's come back and he's in boxing. That means Keith Thurman will face Errol Spence. He could almost be guaranteed of that. And I heard Errol Spence talk about his plan to get through with Mikey Garcia, then try to go on to Sean Porter. You know, he was even talking about fighting 3 times for the year. So that's interesting. And we'll see how that pans out. But at the end of the day, it's always promising when you see Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. They clash, and these guys are talking. It's almost like they kind of arranged it so that they could meet, you know. Maybe Terrence Crawford, you know, and Errol Spence, they decided, you know what, let's go down. Errol Spence decided to look for Terrence Crawford, you know what I mean, and actually show up at the event. So that's really good. You know, and that's the thing that I'm trying to say. A lot of people are like, you know, being negative about boxing, which I thought was very interesting that I'm hearing people say that they don't feel it. I know it's a slow season as well, so that may be it. You guys can leave your comments in the chat section. But at the end of the day, man, you know, for me, being in the situation I'm in as well, man, I'm just thankful that we got all this boxing. And Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury is a big one. Nobody can really pick who wins. I'm picking Tyson Fury. Some people are picking Deontay Wilder. Excuse me. I've seen a lot of people talking about how, you know, Wilder's a fraud. And then some other people are talking about how Tyson Fury, he won't be ready, he won't have the stamina because he lost so much weight, and the shape he would keep coming in, he's not going to be in the shape for it. You know, people are always trying to throw doubts about both fighters. And I'm just saying it's a pick'em fight, in my opinion. And I don't know who's going to actually win that fight. You know, that's a pick'em fight, and that's a really good fight. That's how I look at it, you know. So let me deal with Premier Boxing Champions here. A lot of people are saying that their roster of fights, especially the ones on Fox, are lame. I don't think it's lame. I don't think it's lame at all. You look at all the top ranked fights on ESPN, and everybody knows those fights pale in comparison to what these fights are. And then they go and they say, well, there's a certain roster of people, so, you know, based on the roster, you know, Al Heyman has all these people in this roster, he should be able to do. No, it doesn't work like that. It's about what's the most entertaining fights you can see. And as far as I can see, these are pretty entertaining. And it's on free TV. Stevenson versus Gvardsdik, or whatever his name is. Gvardsdik, looks like. Gvardsdik is at present the WBC interim champion, and Stevenson is the world champion. We saw that Stevenson is old. He's 40 years old. So Gvardsdik, I don't know, I never seen the guy fight, but he has a chance. He's younger than Stevenson. He has a chance of beating Stevenson. He really does. So, you know, I don't know who Gvardsdik is, okay, to be honest with you. But apparently he was good enough to win the interim belt for the WBC. and challenge Stevenson for, his championship. I thought Badou Jack beat Adonis Stevenson this year, but apparently didn't get the nod. So now Gvozdyk is going to get a chance. And who's in line to face Stevenson or Gvozdyk after that fight? Badou Jack. Badou Jack's in a number of positions now in the boxing rankings. You look at light heavyweight and you see that Badou Jack is in line for the WBC belt, for the WBA belt. Yeah, and in the WBO belt with Alida Alvarez, Marcos Brown is in line. And of course, let's not forget, Alida Alvarez beat Sergey Kovalev just a couple months ago in August. So again, people are thinking that he should be boxing so very soon and stuff. You can't say that. You can't say that. Let's see. And the up-and-comer Marcus Brown, he could maybe upset Alida Alvarez. So I'm just saying, there's some exciting matchups that are yet to be seen in boxing. We haven't heard everything yet. And so it's kind of strange when people talk about PBC and, you're not getting the good fights. Stevenson versus Gvozdyk may not be a fight that you don't even know who Gvozdyk is. I didn't know who Gvozdyk is. But the point is, Stevenson versus Gvozdyk is going to be an intriguing match. You can't say that Stevenson's going to hands down beat Gvozdyk, especially in light of the fact that Badou Jack faced Stevenson. I thought Badou Jack beat him. Okay. Badou Jack is not a big light heavyweight. I can tell you that. Then we're going to have a doubleheader. And this is PBC, but it's going to be on Showtime, right? You're going to have Wilder versus Fury. And then on the undercard, we feature Jarrett Hurd, as well as we feature some other boxers. It's a feature, obviously. If Wellborn beats Jarrett Hurd, that would be a huge upset. But that's what you want. You want sometimes an undercard with features. You want to feature this boxer so then the next time you see them, boom, Hurd's facing, say, for instance, Jamel Charlo, sorry. That would be awesome. Okay? I got Hurd winning, but you never know. Jamel Charlo's got the skills and everything. Erislandy Lara couldn't beat Hurd. Could Jamel Charlo do so? That's the question. I would love to see that fight, to know. Right? Now, some people are saying that Charlo versus Willie Monroe is a good fight. I personally would have preferred if Jamel Charlo faced somebody else, but this is, again, a feature bout. Supposed to feature the Charlo brothers. And it's live on Fox. It's free stuff. It's free TV. So the exciting part about it is we're really looking at a feature of the both Charlo brothers, how they perform against Harrison, how they perform against Monroe. Excuse me. It's not about necessarily a competitive matchup. What this helps us to say is GGG faced Monroe. Billy Joe Saunders faced Monroe. Is Charlo on the level of a GGG or Billy Joe Saunders? That's what makes it interesting. We want to see if Charlo's performance can supersede that, or if Monroe is going to give him trouble. That's the question. And apparently people don't get that excitement. It's the anticipation of a big fight happening that, to me, makes boxing so fine. That's why I love it. So Charlo versus Monroe sets us up for who? That's what you got to ask yourself. It's chess. It's not checkers. What is Charlo setting up for while he's facing Monroe? Well, let's see. Who are the people who faced Willie Monroe? Billy Joe Saunders and Triple G. And who is Jamel Charlo in line to face next at middleweight? Triple G. He's actually Triple G's mandatory according to the WBC. So it makes sense. Now, even though Triple G is ducking Charlo, that's not the point. The point is, Gennady Golovkin is Jermall Charlo's mandatory. If Gennady Golovkin doesn't want to be Jermall Charlo's mandatory, Jermall Charlo is facing somebody else, right? Which would be Willie Monroe Jr. So it's all good. But the thing about it is, when you think about the middleweight division, there's a lot of fights available to these fighters. And some of them are not very, very competitive. And that's what it is. And then you have the up-and-comers that are coming up as well. So this is what we're talking about. When everybody was into the GGG rage, nobody was worried about who GGG was actually facing. Nobody cared. They just wanted to see knockouts. Well, guess what? Jermall Charlo gives you knockouts. Can he knock out Willie Monroe Jr.? We don't know. But that's a form of entertainment as well. And I think a lot of people forgetting that there are different aspects to boxing. They expect every single fight to be a 50-50 fight. That's an unrealistic expectation. In fact, if I'm to correct Coach Shelton Harris, you go into MMA knowing that certain fighters are going to beat other fighters. It's not every single fight's a 50-50 fight in MMA. And yes, you get fights that you ask for almost immediately. You get instant gratification. But in boxing, not everything in life is instant gratification. And we have to learn that as things develop, we must be able to appreciate that they're developing, you know. So for me, I'm grateful that we get to see Jamal Charlo at middleweight facing a relatively higher ranked opponent. Willie Monroe Jr. is 5th ranked by the WBC. So it was either Willie Monroe or David Lemieux or Martin Murray. Now think about this. Martin Murray, David Lemieux, or Willie Monroe. That's what you were getting. Or Ryota Murata, who had just been beaten by Rob Brandt, who'd been taking blows in his head. Now, out of all those people, Martin Murray, David Lemieux, and Willie Monroe, I got to say, Willie Monroe looks the best of them. I'll tell you why. Because he's slick. He's at least slick. He doesn't look like he can get hit easily. So Martin Murray would get hit. He would be a tough guy. And then Jamal Charlo gets him out of there in no time. David Lemieux, he's a heavy hitter, but he ain't really a good boxer. So I can see Jamal Charlo knocking him out. What good is that? You know what I mean? Get somebody with some kind of skill. Willie Monroe Jr. has skills. He's a bit slick. So Gennady Golovkin took so many rounds to get him out of there. Billy Joe Saunders did not get him out of there. In fact, he came on strong against Billy Joe Saunders. Okay, let's see what Willie Monroe can do against Jamal Charlo. Right? And he might shock you guys. He might stay there long. He might go the distance. He might know how to. He might even pull a draw or even an upset. You just never know. It's boxing. And of all those names I just mentioned, I think Willie Monroe is the best of them, right? You look at his brother, Jermell Charlo, who's going to be facing Tony Harrison. Now, honestly speaking, if I could have gotten Jermell Charlo versus Kell Brook or Julian Williams, who are ranked higher, than Tony Harrison, we wouldn't want to see Erickson Lubin again because he got starked out. So he's not one. But when you look, Jermell has already faced Austin Trout. He's already faced all the other guys below. So, yeah, Tony Harrison's what's left, okay, is what it is. Jermell to just go from being WBC champion to just going to face Jarrett Hurd, who is the unified super middleweight champion, is kind of dumb. All right. Jarrett Hurd has 2 of the belts, and then you got the WBO belt way out there by Jaime Munguia. Okay. Maybe Jermell Charlo faces Munguia next. But the exciting thing about this is how he performs against, because it's a feature fight, how he performs against Tony Harrison, who's been knocked out a couple times. How he performs against Tony Harrison would tell us, if we can get more excited for the fight with Jarrett Hurd, because Jarrett Hurd obviously is the man of the division now. He just beat Erislandy Lara and even dropped him. So yeah, the fight we want to see is Jarrett Hurd versus Jermell Charlo. But why not make the stakes higher? Why not Jermell Charlo face a Jaime Munguia? Okay, he's facing a Tony Harrison, whatever. But at the end of the day, he gets past Tony Harrison. I'm not saying he does, but let's just say Tony Harrison doesn't spoil the party and he gets through Tony Harrison. It's about time to face Jarrett Hurd, right? Or Jaime Munguia, whichever. But you face another champion, right? To me, that's what makes sense. That's how boxing is. I don't know. Some people want instant gratification. This is not MMA. These guys are specialized fighters, and most fighters fight 2 to 3 times a year. You're not going to get them fighting much more than that. That's because you got to build up for these fights. And they talk about the business of boxing, but not that. Just the interest and enthusiasm. That's why boxing makes much more money than the MMA. It's because whether these fights are free or not, they are on a very high performing scale. It's about specialized combat with their hands. Use your feet as well, but not to hit people, right? It's a specialized form of combat. So obviously it's going to be like really refined wine versus, say, cheap wine. When I think of MMA, there's a lot of varied skills, but nobody's a master of any given skill. It's cheap wine. It's ubiquitous. It's great, but it's ubiquitous. But with specialized boxing and honing your skills, it's a totally different story. That's why boxers punch harder than MMA fighters. So maybe some people like MMA, but then we got here another feature bout, hopefully. Caleb Plant versus Uzcategui. I don't know who that guy is. I had to do my homework on that, but apparently it's a feature fight. And then we got two known names, Thurman versus Josesito Lopez. It's a higher level fight because both fighters. Josesito Lopez could spoil the party, and he does bring it. So this is a good fight to see if Thurman can handle that, and if he's not rusty anymore, get his rust off. Hopefully, based on Josesito Lopez's performance against Thurman, we would know if Thurman can handle Shawn Porter, which may be every match that Thurman goes against Shawn Porter again to get the WBC belt. So that's just what it is. I don't know anything about Flores, but so this is a feature bout featuring Leo Santa Cruz, who can really hit hard. And then Anthony Dirrell facing Lidrium, whatever. I don't know that guy either, right? But it's a feature for Anthony Dirrell, sorry. Porter versus Ugas. Ugas is a mandatory for Porter. So Porter's facing Ugas. Yes, I would have loved to see Porter versus Spence, but that would have been too soon in the year, seeing Porter just came off a very big fight against Danny Garcia. You don't just go two back-to-back heavy fights. No, that's dumb. So Porter versus Ugas sounds good to me. But yes, I do understand when people say Porter seems to be BSing, like he has to deal with mandatories. Come on, man. But then again, Spence already had solidified a fight with Mikey Garcia. So it is what it is. And there's the fight. Now, a lot of people are saying that this fight is a fight that's a mismatch. I even listened to Coach Shelton Harris think so. Legendary Boxing, thanks for exposing all these PBC haters. PBC has put on the best fights in boxing in the past 3 years. I do agree. You would find that the quality of boxing is great. It's not a rock'em sock'em. It's very strategic. And I agree with you, Legendary Boxer. By the way, shout out to you and thanks for hailing out my channel. So, in my opinion, again, just my honest opinion, and again, with a thankful spirit that I have today, I would say that Spence versus Garcia, I think a lot of people are really overlooking Garcia. I think people think Garcia is a small guy. Yes, Garcia went up and faced Adrian Broner, and coming down the stretch, Broner was really bringing the fight to Garcia. But you can see again, Garcia had good footwork, was moving away from Broner and circling Broner. I was trying to explain to Coach Shelton Harris why I believe that Garcia has a chance against Errol Spence. There are a number of things. If you look at the Lamont Peterson fight, unfortunately, Lamont Peterson went head-to-head with Spence. Lamont Peterson was able to land some body shots on Spence, which made Spence back off. As big as a fighter is how you place your body shots, the timing of when you land your body shots, all make a big difference. I don't care how strong you are. If a guy places a body shot really perfectly on you, you're going to go down. Just like if a guy hits you on the chin with a 1-2, you're going to go down. If I knock a guy's chin this way and then I knock it back this way, the person's going to go down. Okay? 1-2s, not straight shots. So if you do remember Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios, how Brandon Rios got knocked out, Brandon Rios didn't see it. He threw the jab, and Danny pull counted over the jab and hit him. Danny's hands are very heavy, and just took him out. I mean, Rios was doing very well. He was starting to pick up the tempo. He was starting to go land shots to the body. But I think in that round where he got knocked out, Danny Garcia really started timing him really well and just landing some sweet shots to him. But he was still coming, man. It is what it is, though. So with Spence versus Garcia, I think a lot of people are underestimating Garcia. First of all, Spence is not going to dish out punishment to Garcia that, like one punch is going to knock out Garcia. It doesn't work like that. He's going to have to land a number of punches to Garcia's body to try and break Garcia down. Garcia has to protect his body with a very good defense and counter Spence whenever he can get the opportunity to counter him. He's also going to need to circle Spence. He's not going to stand directly in front of Spence. It doesn't mean he's not going to be in front of Spence. I'm just saying he's going to circle Spence, which is a totally different thing. And depending on how you move into a fighter's body, you can basically stop the action, or sometimes cause the fighter to reset, or you can land a jab or something into the fighter's body. Again, a system of feints is always useful. But I think that Mikey Garcia has the possibility of beating Spence, not only beating him, but also being able to unravel him a bit. I think Mikey hits pretty hard, plenty hard. I wouldn't be surprised he hits harder than Lamont Peterson. But Lamont Peterson hits pretty hard as well, and he picks up as the fight goes along. But Mikey Garcia, he will be training with much bigger fighters with much bigger power. So when he gets used to Spence's power, so Spence's power is not going to be anything to him. And he'll also be able to hold his defense. So he's got to build strength for Errol Spence. And that might shock Errol Spence how strong Mikey Garcia is. And if Mikey could land some shots on Errol Spence will come back off and respect his power, because Mikey was able to, as they said, crack Marcos Maidana's ribs. Mikey hits hard. Okay, and I think a lot of people are getting confused between the body form of Mikey. Mikey walks around maybe somewhere around 160. Okay, so he's not small. He shrinks down to a small division, but he's not a small guy. So all of these things I think people need to take into consideration. And there's a strategy for guys like Spence. Spence comes off the jab. He comes off an angle. And what happens is the fighter who is fighting him doesn't read that angle properly, because Spence comes off an angle. And you have to pivot as Spence is pivoting. So that's why I said Mikey needs to circle Spence to the outside of his right side. Circle him that way. So if Spence throws a jab, Mikey's to the outside of that. And you could tighten up the circle as you turn Spence. Of course, you can always go back the opposite direction for a minute just to throw him off and keep on circling. But that's the trick. Okay? So you got to turn him. But yeah, Mikey Garcia, I think, is going to be well equipped. I don't think Spence is going to stop Mikey Garcia. I think a lot of people have confidence that Spence will stop him because he's too big. That's the obvious. I mean, Mikey ain't going to pick a fight with a guy who's too big and just will overwhelm him. Mikey's not going to do that. He's a smart enough fighter to know not to do that. So I just think that some people are, I think they are underestimating Mikey Garcia and overestimating Errol Spence. Like they overhyping Errol now. Pearson versus Lipinets is going to be a good fight. That's going to be a good fight. And Pearson just came off a knockout loss. And that's going to be March 24, 2019, you know. Truax versus Quillin. Again, a very good matchup, because Peter Quillin has gotten a couple wins since his loss to Danny Jacobs. He hasn't been really in the ring a lot. And Caleb Truax has been doing pretty well since his last set of losses. So I'm interested in seeing how these two clash and whatever happens to them. I think Caleb Truax faced possibly Danny Jacobs already. And then this one is really fantastic. This is Danny Garcia versus Adrian Granados. That's going to be a barn burner. I can guarantee you that, because Adrian Granados is that kind of dude. Garcia may put him on his butt, though, before the real fight starts. And maybe that's where Garcia gets the edge. Maybe. I don't know. So that's April 20th, 2019. March 16th, 2019. I'm trying to remember what March 16th is. That's another one. But yeah, this is not bad. I really enjoyed it. I'm very thankful for those fights that we can see. I mean, a lot of things are going on in the world, so being serious about it is you know, the times that we live in is important. But you always keep your eye on the prize. I always say, if you trust in God and you believe that, you know, He will take care of you and take care of your loved ones and so on, keep your eyes on the prize, eternal life. You know what I mean? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Legendary Boxer, shout out to you. What's your actual name, Legendary Boxer? I was supposed to ask you that. What's your actual name? A lot of people, Coach Shelton Harris was talking about Floyd and this exhibition match with the Japanese young rising star. I just want to say it's an exhibition match. I don't need to see exhibition matches. That's for Floyd. He was going to earn his money. I don't know if it's televised now or not, but it's not really that relevant to us. I'm happy for Floyd if he can demonstrate and do exhibition matches and make a lot of money. At least one black person in the whole wide world is doing well, and that's good. But at the end of the day, we're looking for real boxing matches at this point in time. I'm happy for him. I know people support the venture. It sounds interesting, at least the exhibition match. But at the end of the day, man, it's all about real boxing and looking at fights. And you may not know who the winner is. And those fights don't always come every day of the week, especially by the fighters. So it's interesting. I hope the fighters can get to this sort of level of anticipation for a fight by putting good fighter matchups together. So that's basically it for me. I think I gotta go in my bed and sleep. My mom's sleeping, but she's still in a situation. I was really trying to get her to, pass out some stuff from her system so she would have less pain and less gas. But it didn't work out tonight because she probably doesn't know how to use the apparatus. So we'll see how it goes with someone who probably does know how to do that. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys had a great day. Keep on being thankful about it. I'm very thankful for everything that's happened. Thank God for that. I'm sleepy now, so I'm going to go in my bed and sleep. Shout out to you, Legendary Boxer. Shout out to you, Tommy Temper. Shout out to you, NBT Boxing. I haven't seen NBT Boxing in a long time. Shout out to all the people all over the world who's watching this video as well. Peace to you guys. Have a blessed one.